Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of RC Retirement. I'm your host, DJ. Today, we're going to do our final episode of my interview with a retired field grade officer named William, as he discusses his experiences with having received Variable Separation Incentive, or VSI, and his experience after qualifying for retired pay and then having to pay that VSI back, or as many of you may already have guessed if you have not already seen parts 1 and 2, having not yet been able to pay that VSI back. And by the way, if you have not seen parts 1 and 2, I do recommend you pause this video or this podcast and go back and watch parts 1 and 2. You won't necessarily be thoroughly confused if you watch this one first, but I'm a completionist and kind of an OCD or CDO type person, so I like things in order. And if you're like me at all, then you like things in order as well. So go ahead, pause, go back, watch the other two, and then come back here. I'll wait. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so let's go ahead, dive right on in to part 3 of my interview with William, and then we will talk to you at the end. I'll see you in a moment. I've been, for people going through these sorts of situations, I've invariably advised not spending any overage that they may have and socking it away in a savings account.
Yeah.
But it seems like in every instance, there's a financial hiccup and folks end up tapping into that money. And then, sadly, the debt letter arrives and they're unprepared.
Yeah.
You would think, as much as they claim to have their computer systems linked together to prevent such issues, that DFAS and the VA would be able to prevent the kinds of oversights that we're discussing. But clearly they don't, because it's happening far too often. And service members are being left out in the financial cold as a result. Suffering undue hardship, in my opinion. And they can't even result to hardship waivers that DFAS would approve in other circumstances, but not this time. They have to pay. So if I'm not careful, I'm going to rant for 20 minutes about this, because I really despise inefficiency and accepting inefficiency as a matter of course, which of course is what we're seeing here. But now that I've voiced my opinion on this, what are your thoughts overall on what we're seeing, cause, effects, etc.? Just overall, what's your thought on this?
Well, I mean, I agree with you that, if someone is, if they've been warned that, hey, you're getting paid too much money, you need to sock it away. I got that, and it's a hard thing to do when you're living life and, the car breaks down or whatever. But I think one of the concerns is that, when you get separation benefits, et cetera, you need to make sure you understand all the rules dealing with that. Because when I got out and took the separation benefits, I had lump sum or annual payment. I took the annual payment. Well, if I'd have taken the lump sum payment at this point in my life, the VA, because of their rules, They could come and take all my VA disability and take it away in one fell swoop. And the Army's going to take their chunk. Now, supposedly you could, at that point, deal with the DFAS and say, I'm wiped out at this point. Can you take less money? Now, you're, 63 years old and you're expecting, $5,000 a month in disability or whatever, and your retired pay and all that. And then suddenly it's been cut by 75%. What are you going to do? You can't fight it. You can't ask the VA to cut you a break because they're not going to do it. And so you're going to end up, you're going back to work to survive. Because you no longer can you pay your bills. Whether you understood the rules or not, it is what it is at that point. And you've got to say, all right, well, I've got to suffer for 5 or 8 or 10 years until this debt is paid. So the money starts coming back in again, which opens up a whole litany of other painful options. And if you're disabled, who's going to hire you? So it's another problem.
And to get on an ageist kick, the older you get, the harder it is by default to find work anyway.
Yeah.
And if you don't have, disabilities.
Yeah. So it's not, it's a really tough situation to get into. I had hoped that when I hit retirement, I said, okay, I'm safe. This is what I have. This is what I have to live on. Okay, got it. And I know that my debt has to be paid. Got it. Understand that. But having the potential threat, of the VA swooping in and taking everything, I mean, that's not a little chunk of change. That's everything. And it's, that would be a tough thing to face at, over 60 years old. You go from, a decent life to
Poverty.
And then you can't pay your bills and your car gets repossessed and blah, 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 blah. And it's just one thing after another. And there's nothing you can do to correct it until the debt is paid. And in my case, that's 10 more years.
Yeah, that actually shocked me when I ran the calculations for you, seeing how long it would take to recoup that money.
Yeah, now if I was independently wealthy, that'd be one thing. I could say, Army, take it all for 4 years. Take it all. Take it or done. But I'm not.
Right.
And wish I was. That'd be nice, but I've got to wait 10 years until that debt's paid off. So that's where I am.
Well, morbidly, if you pass, that does not pass. That debt does not pass on to anybody else. So,
that's a good thing.
It's not something that follows onto an estate. So the weird term that DFAS used was it's a recoupment, not a debt, which I thought was playing word games, but
I've read that 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's a debt, but thank you for at least not, chasing after a widow or a widower, after they've already had one traumatic event in their lives.
Yeah.
I actually learned that bit of trivia early on in my career in retirement services. I got a call from a I never spoke with the retiree himself. It was always his wife because he was rather infirmed. I only spoke with him long enough to get his permission to talk about his affairs, and that was about it. And then never spoke to him again for, well, heck, the entire time. It was all his wife. But he had taken separation pay. I don't remember which type. I think it was SSB, Special Separation Benefit. But it must have been VSI actually, because it was well over $200,000.
Hmm.
And I don't think SSB ever got that high.
No, I don't think it did.
But it was enormous. And they either had just started receiving retired pay or were about to start receiving it. And the wife was really concerned about, no, I think he was just about to turn 60, because she was asking all the usual retirement benefits questions as well. But she was concerned about, if he passed away, would she still be liable for the VSI debt? And I didn't know. So I had just made acquaintance face to face with the liaison with whom you spoke. So I gave him a call and learned that nice bit of trivia, that no, it does not. And was very, very pleased to learn that. But I still thought it was a silly word game. It's a recoupment, not a debt. Well, just say no, it doesn't follow the spouse.
Well,
All right, whatever. Well, that's actually all I've got. I do thank you for being so willing to give me your time and your willingness to appear on
glad
this interview.
you provide good service, and you gave me some good information. I mean, some of the information that you go through, I mean, it's not fun. Some of it's pretty dry, but if you don't listen, sometimes you gotta listen. If you don't understand it the first time, read it again. Don't hear it right the first time, listen to it again, and that's okay, because there's so much information out there.
That's actually something I've noticed with my videos. It seems like no one watches them straight through. They watch them in about 5 to 6 minute blocks. It might be a 20-minute video, but they'll watch them in pieces. So apparently, I'm only interesting at 5 minutes at a time.
Or maybe another way to look at it is there's certain parts that are more key, and so you can listen. If you're talking CRSC and I'm focusing, and my target is CRSC. You're mentioning that, and you're talking over 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna listen. All right, do I understand that? Maybe, sort of, kind of. Let's listen to it again. And I would rewind stuff just to say, do I have a good understanding of this now in my situation? Yes or no?
Yeah. When I look at the analytics for videos, it'll say, for this 20-minute video, average view duration, 7 minutes. It's like, well, that's odd. So I don't know if people are getting bored, or if they're doing as you say, maybe the question was answered after 7 minutes, or what? Who knows? But it takes a long and a short to make an average. So maybe one person started and it's like, okay, that's not what I wanted, and then another person went through the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I like hearing is they're actually helping people, and that was the whole point. I started doing this because I realized that what was in my head, and this isn't to make me sound like I'm the expert on all things, but I realized that what I knew is what everyone else needed to know about retirement benefits. And being the retirement services officer for Michigan at the time, I couldn't go out to every National Guard armory and train everybody.
Right.
And I also knew that I was starting the medical evaluation board process. I was going to be retired in a year or so. And I also wanted to keep doing this in civilian life. So it's like, well, let me kill two birds. I'll start this YouTube channel, start teaching everybody, regardless of whether they're in my state or not.
Yeah.
And I'll teach them exactly the way I do when I go to units, which was completely contrary to how, my predecessor and mentor did it. Rather than speaking in acronyms and lots of jargon, I'm just going to speak like a guy on the street, simple English. I might slip up and use an acronym here and there, but for the most part, just a guy talking to you.
Yeah.
And that makes it easier to understand. And sometimes it even makes the dry topic a little easier to swallow.
But not when you're facing a 10,000 page, defense, finance, and accounting question.
Very true. Very true. That's when you break those videos up into small pieces.
That's correct.
Yeah. And the other part of that motivation was, well, not only can I teach everybody, regardless of where they are, but then when I retire, maybe I can actually make a business out of it. Yeah. And I already have an established audience. So.
I know that you ran some numbers on my, retirement and VA stuff and all that. And, I had already crunched the numbers and I said, well, let somebody else take a look at what I think is going to occur and let them verify it, which you did. I mean, it was like dollar for dollar. I said, okay, I feel comfortable with, what's going to happen in the future. I've researched it. I've done the math. I've got an expert who has confirmed it. I said, okay, then I have a good feeling of what's going to occur in the future and move on from there. So I appreciate it.
I'm glad to help. Well, before we go, is there anything you would like to say to the audience?
Get counseling. Get good counseling before you get out. Get VA disability counseling or education before you get out, or whatever's available, because I had very little, and all that, that and retirement counseling is incredibly important. And I've had to learn the hard way, or hook and crook, doing research, and it maybe somebody would have said something at a retirement meeting or some briefing that would have clicked in 10 years ago for disability. Now, I very well could have applied for disability 20 years ago and they never knew it.
Awesome.
And, I just wasn't aware of that. It's just not something you think of when you're 30 years old, 35 years old. Disability, what's that? No, it's nothing, So, yeah.
People drilling right now with 50, 60, 80% disability ratings, sometimes 100%. Still drilling.
Yeah. And I just, that never ever came up in conversation, ever, in all the places I've been. So, so it was something you need to keep your eye on, big time.
Get counseling.
Yep.
So if we were to boil this whole thing down, those would be the 2 words to take from this.
I would. Do your own research, get good counseling, and you're a step ahead of the game on that. If you don't understand something, ask somebody over and over again until you understand it. And sometimes you got to chew on something, or somebody's got to explain it a different way. My explanation to you might not make sense, but someone else may explain the same thing to you, and you go, "Oh, that's what he was talking about." So it's like my boys. I would tell them growing up, don't play with fire, don't do that, and they go right above their head. But their uncle could say, you really shouldn't play with fire, and they go, "Wow, that's a great idea." And it all depends on who's telling the story. They might use a different word or a different process, but sometimes it kicks in and sometimes it doesn't. So just keep trying. That's all you can do.
Very true. Yep. Sometimes just like parents playing off each other. Mom can say it and you ignore it. Dad can say it and you'll listen.
Yep.
Or the reverse.
Yep, that's true. Happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. All right, sir. Is there anything else?
That is all.
All right.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
No troubles. Have a great day and enjoy yourself.
And you as well. Bye-bye.
I'm going to try. Out here.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was it with William, and that was a pretty good chat, I thought, and some very valuable information from him. He had some great experience, and I think that a lot of folks can learn from his experience and hopefully not go through some of the same pains that he did. Unfortunately, a lot of people have gone through similar pains, and despite counseling from some, they have suffered as a result. So please, if you know people who might be going through similar experiences, either pass on this video or at least, give them an email address like mine so that they can get proper counseling on these issues, like some of my videos, and learn from these experiences and not have to go through these types of pains, because it is horrible to get debt letters saying that you owe hundreds of thousands of dollars and then wonder, where in the world am I going to get this money and pay it back? As you heard me say in the video, there are no waivers for debts of this type. You have to pay it back somehow. Alright, I'm going to give you a preview, just a hint, about the upcoming episodes. I've got another interview lined up for you for my next episode, and I actually hinted at it in these interviews. It's with a medically retired soldier named Valerie. I spoke with her about 2 years ago. I'm doing a follow-up interview with her, and you'll get to learn her experiences with some of these similar situations. It's quite an interesting interview, so join me for that. Until then, if you would like to support my efforts at RC Retirement, please remember you can go to patreon.com/RC Retirement and support me at any of the pre-established levels that are there, or create one of your own. Those established levels or personally created levels of support are per month, not per episode. So don't be too concerned there. You can easily create a budget around it. And if you would like personal support from me, you can go to rcretirement.com and look at the fees for services page. See any of the various services that I provide, be it retirement correction, be it applications for retired pay, or applications for combat-related special compensation, or any other of a long list of retirement services support. So keep those in mind when wondering how you're going to obtain extra sources of income during these trying times. So enough about all of those wonderful things. Let's just move on to living our wonderful lives here in 2020. The Pandora's box of years. All right, so until our next episode, thank you so much for spending your time with me, for being part of this audience, and most of all, thank you for your service. Have a great day.
If you liked what you heard on today's episode, then please go below and give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to this channel. Also, please let other people know about this channel and the information it can provide for them. If you have questions or comments, then please have no qualms about posting them in the comments section below. Please remember the RC Retirement YouTube channel and the RC Retirement website are not recognized or endorsed by the Department of Defense, the Department of Veterans Affairs, or any other government agency. The information presented in these resources are for entertainment and informational purposes only. Also, the content of either of these resources should not be considered financial or legal advice. Please consult with your own legal counsel, accountant, or financial planner before making any decisions based on what you have learned here. As always, thank you for watching the RC Retirement YouTube channel.